Guys, it is baby's first booktube tag. This dress is giving Little House on the Prairie a little bit, but we're gonna go with it. Welcome back to A D in the Life, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Adi. I like to talk about books. I read books in pretty much every single genre you could think of, so you'll get a little bit of everything when you watch one of my videos, and that is how I like it. Okay, so this is the mid-year book tag. I have seen a lot of booktubers post this tag. I think this has been going around for years. I haven't actually been formally tagged in it, but I'm gonna do it anyways because how freaking fun. There are 13 questions. There are probably a few options for each that I'll call out, but I will try to nominate one book for each question. And I'll try to limit the repeats, though that might not be possible. I feel like I should stop yapping and we should just get started. Question number 1. What is the best book you've read so far this year? So here's the thing. We have 6 5-star reads total for the year, which is actually pretty good for me. Last year I ended up, I think, right at 10. I would like to have more this year. We'll see how it goes, but there are 6. So obviously we have to choose one of the 5-star reads. We've got Carrie Soto is Back, The 5-Star Weekend, Our Perfect Storm, Beneath, Promise Me Sunshine, and The Story Might Save Your Life. If I'm thinking about my absolute favorites, the 2 that are coming to top of mind are probably Our Perfect Storm and Carrie Soto is Back. Carrie Soto is Back is definitely a little bit more recency bias, but I loved that book. And that was a surprise for me. I didn't think I would. So you know what, actually, I will give it to Carrie Soto is Back. This is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I love her books so much. I'm kind of on a pattern of one book of hers a year. And now I'm going through her backlist because I haven't read all of them. This one is about a tennis star, retired tennis star, who comes back out of retirement to try to reclaim her records. I don't have any interest in tennis, so I didn't think I would like it. And I tried to read this, I think, 2 years ago. I didn't get hooked right away, so I put it back down. It takes about 70 pages, and then afterwards, unputdownable. Also, the audiobook is incredible. There's some Spanish speaking moments, which I think is way better in the audiobook. Obviously, I can't speak Spanish. And the entire thing almost feels like a sports documentary, and that I can get behind. Sports romance is not my favorite, especially when the woman is not the sports player, but I think I really like when the woman is a sports player because then she's like the one that's all that, and I like that better. Anyways, this one, a little bit of historical fiction, obviously a little bit of sports element to it, carries a little bit of an unlikable character at times, but I love complex female characters. I think it's way more realistic. And there's even a little bit of romance in this, which was a surprise to me. So yeah, I freaking love this one. I think so far, this is my favorite book of the year. Okay, then we've got best sequel of the year. This one is kind of an easy one because only one of them I gave 5 stars to, but there are quite a few that were really, really great. Crooked Kingdom, the sequel to Six of Crows, loved. Not as good as Six of Crows though. Everyone in this bank is a thief. It's part of the Ernest Cunningham series, which is a mystery thriller series of sorts. Second person POV? Is that what it's called? The narrator of the books breaks down the fourth wall and speaks directly to you, and you're solving the mystery together. They are so fun, and I did really like this one. Again, not the best of the series. I read The Last Town. That was the 3rd book in, what is that series called? Oh, the 3rd book in the Pine series, and the first thing he told me, which is actually a pretty good sequel from the last time I saw him, which I didn't like as much, so that one was better. However, Beneath, which I gave 5 stars to, and it was my first 5-star of the year, I can't tell you how much I loved this book. This was a book where I finished it and I hugged it, and I also was staring at the wall because it ended on a cliffhanger, and we're not going to get answers to this cliffhanger until not even the next book, but the book after this book, I think. I don't even know, because the way this series is set up is it's a set of 3 trilogies, 3 different timelines. This is the before timeline, and the next book we're getting is the sequel to the current present timeline, the sequel to Conform. This is technically a prequel to Conform, but I'm going to count it as a sequel because it came out after Conform was published. So therefore it's a sequel. Dystopian romance. This is set in a world where they're all living underground, so it's directly after kind of an end of the world moment. The community is split into factions, very reminiscent of Divergent, but also Silo, hence the like underground living, and also maybe like Hunger Games District 13. I loved the found family in this. I loved the spice in this. I loved the high stakes in this. I couldn't put it down. I remember having to go to work and just being upset about being in the office for 8 hours and not being able to read this book. Stayed up till 3 a.m. Ugh, just so freaking good. Oh, and I liked it better than Conform. I loved Conform, but this one was like darker and grittier, and I got behind the romance a little bit more, which makes sense given how Conform is set up. But yeah, I thought this was an incredible book. And I got to do an author event with Ariel Sullivan for this book release, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I loved it. Okay, question number 3. A new release that you haven't read yet, but want to. I mean, this list is a long list. My TBR is filled with new releases. We've got Trope Sick, which is Lauren Oakey's second book. Caller Unknown, which is Gillian McAllister's newest thriller. Kin, I think, is a literary fiction I've heard fantastic things about. So Old, So Young, another literary fiction. Dissection of a Murder. This is a debut thriller that people are raving about. Keeper of Lost Children, which is a historical fiction that people are also raving about. But I think the one that I most want to read, like ASAP, is Dissection of a Murder. This is a legal thriller about a woman who's a lawyer. She's defending a murderer, and the opposing lawyer is her husband, who is also her mentor. And I think there's some secrets revealed. I don't know, but this is currently up in July's options for my book club, The Everything Shelf, on the Fable app, and it's currently in the lead. So I'm hoping it pulls out a win and I get to read it next month. Okay, and then most anticipated relief for the second half of the year. Also, so many upcoming, but a few that are top of mind. Destination Funeral, which is by Paige Harbison, who wrote The Other Side of Now, which is one of my favorite magical realism books ever. Vacation Self, which is the third book in the big fan romance novella universe by Alexander Romanov. These are 831 Stories novellas. I've loved both the first two books and I'm excited for another one. The Knave and the Moon, which is the sequel to The Night and the Moth, which is Rachel Gillig's newer romantasy duology. I didn't love The Night and the Moth as much as I loved both books in the Shepherd King duo, but I have a good feeling about The Knave and the Moon because I did think that the second book in the Shepherd King duo was better than the first, so I'm kind of hoping the same thing happens here. However, the book that I am most excited about is The Pirate Queen by Ariel Lahan. This is the same author of The Frozen River, which is one of my favorite historical fiction books ever. She writes historical fiction books about badass women in history, very complex characters. There's usually a little bit of mystery in every one of her books, which I also love, and this one is about an Irish sea captain. I think one of the first female sea captains. I forget what time period. I don't know. I want to say like 1600s, but that's probably wrong. The cover is fantastic. I do have an advanced ebook copy. I'm like trying to figure out how to get an advanced physical copy, but I cannot wait to read this. Also comes out right around my birthday, which I love. Okay, for most disappointing read, I have technically two answers for this. One of them is most disappointing in the sense that it didn't live up to the hype. That book for me was Yesteryear. I did actually really enjoy it, but nowhere near as much as seemingly everyone else. It's been labeled as the best book of the year, and I just don't really agree with it. I did really like it. I liked the messages in this. I thought that it was a unique read. I thought there were some good twists in here, but the middle chunk of this book was just really hard to get through. Like, it was long, repetitive, annoying. I think there are quite a few plot holes in this, but overall, good book. Just, I don't think this is the best book of the year. I don't know what to tell you. However, I was probably a little bit more disappointed in The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I'm really sad about this because I loved Sail Remember Me, which is the first book in this interconnected romance series. And that one also had a lot of mixed reviews. So I was going into this one being like, it'll probably be the same thing, mixed reviews, but I will be on the side that loves it. I've enjoyed all of her books. I think this is my least favorite Abby Jimenez. This is a romance between a woman and her boyfriend's best friend. Her boyfriend doesn't treat her well. So at no point was I like upset that that was happening. My issue is that usually in her books, there are other likable side characters, and this one had like no redeemable side characters. They were all annoying. I thought the main female character was a little bit annoying. They also don't kiss until 90% of the book. It was just a lot of yearning and not a lot of payoff. And yeah, I don't know. I probably will read the third book, but like right now, I don't really want to. Okay, for biggest surprise, I think I have an easy answer for this for once, and that is Promise Me Sunshine. The reason this was so surprising, actually two reasons. One, I always get nervous picking up a romance that is very hyped on Book Talk because I feel like I have a lower tolerance for cheese, and sometimes they're too cheesy for me. The second reason is because I picked this one up and the first like 50 pages was just okay for me, and so I wasn't really into it. And then I put it down and I picked it back up and something clicked, and then I couldn't put it down. I read the rest of the book in 24 hours. Stayed up late, finished it, hugged the book. That is a telltale sign for me that it's probably going to be a 5-star read, as if when I finish the book, I sit there and I'm just like, that was literally me in bed at 1 a.m. when I finished this book. I loved it. This book is about Lenny, who's dealing with the loss of her best friend. She gets a nannying gig, and the brother of the mother of the child she's nannying is kind of inserting himself and is kind of grumpy and annoying, but then ends up helping her go through her grief. It was so good. And this was a good slow burn where I think, again, they don't kiss until near the end of the book, but I loved it. I felt the yearning. It was single POV, which is my preferred romance. Very much Emily Henry vibes a little bit. Yeah. I loved it so much. I can't remember if I said this, but this was a 5-star read. Okay, favorite new author, which can be a debut author or a new to you author. I'm gonna pick one of each because I want to, and this is my video, so it's my rules. For a debut author, I'm gonna go with Tiffany Crum with This Story Might Save Your Life. This was a fantastic thriller, although I would say it was like a mix of thriller, romance, maybe more mystery. No, I would say thriller. Dual timeline in a sense. There's podcast elements to it, which I love. There's a little bit of a Hollywood gossip element to it, which I don't normally love, but it worked for me in this one. I guessed some of the twists, not all of it. This was another one that I found impossible to put down. Also, Julia Whalen narrates the female main character in the book. This was just a recipe for a really good book, and I can't wait to see what else she writes. I just feel like she's gonna be kind of like Gillian McAllister level, where she'll hopefully write more thrillers that kind of blur the lines between what genre it is. And I love those because they're almost more unpredictable to me because they never end up having the twists that are the obvious twists. Had to go turn the AC off and then almost spilled my coffee. Why I have a coffee with me on my bed, I don't know, because it never ends well. I've actually spilled it a couple times and it ruined my day every time. Okay, and then favorite new to me author that is not a debut author is Sally Hepworth. I read Mad Mabel and I freaking loved it. She is a well-known thriller author. She has a ton of thrillers. I do think this one is a little bit of a departure from her normal style of writing, but now that I know that she also writes thrillers that kind of blur the lines in terms of the genre, I'm ready to pick up her other books. I think there's a book called, is it Pretty Girls? Darling Girls by her, which has been on my list forever, but I've put it off forever. So now I feel like I need to read it. This was such a good book. It's about an older woman named Mabel who has kind of a murky past, and when her neighbor winds up dead, she gets involved, and then the police kind of dig up her past and the town digs up her past, and so you go back in time and you learn all about what happened to her as a child. Great book. I loved it so much. Oh, and another one where the audiobook is fantastic. I mean, is it cheating to pick books where half the reason I love them is because of the audiobook? I don't think so. Okay, newest fictional crush. Easy answer for me. And that is George from Our Perfect Storm. Still doesn't beat out Charlie in terms of Carly Fortune's book boyfriends, but George was like a perfect book boyfriend. Hot, but also caring, smart, hot, sexy. I don't even know. I loved this book so much. This is getting mixed reviews and I don't really understand why, but I think one thing most people can agree on is that George is hot and like a really good book boyfriend. This is a friends to lovers romance, probably one of my favorite friends to lovers romances, which is high praise because I don't really enjoy that trope. Thought it was well done in this. The vibes in this were immaculate. Single POV, my preferred type of POV. Honestly, I wish I could read this for the first time again. I'm kind of sad that I don't have any more Carly Fortune books to read. Now for newest favorite character, I have a few answers for this. I love a complex female main character. Love. So Carrie from Carrie Soto is back, top tier for me. Also Sasha from Beneath. I do know some people have complained about her as the main female character, but I loved her. I loved that she was a little bit depressed at times and a little harsh and a little closed off, but that is relatable to me. Anyways, because I'm trying to nominate a different option, we're gonna go with Sybil from The Correspondent, also a complex female main character. This book is told entirely through letters, mostly through Sybil's own correspondence to friends, family, random people in her life, but also through letters that she receives from those people. And I love that this is a coming of age story of a woman later in life. Very unique. Also debut, which fantastically written. I loved this book and I loved Sybil, and she's definitely someone that's going to be living in my brain rent-free for a long time. Okay, 3 more questions, starting with a book that made you cry. Now this is a tough question to ask me because most books don't make me cry. I am a stoic reader. I don't know. I think on average, less than 5 books a year make me cry, and I read almost 150 books a year. We've already talked about 2 that have made me cry. Beneath was one, The Correspondent was another, but the one that actually made me cry the most out of all 3 was Before I Forget. One of the top reasons why I cry in books is over father-daughter relationships. I don't know why. It just does. I love my dad. He's still alive, so I don't know. But this is about a woman who becomes a caregiver for her father after he's diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Short read, dual timeline, which again I love. There's a little bit of romance in it, a little historical fiction. The past timeline, she is, I think, in high school around the same age that I was in high school, so I think there was an added bit of nostalgia for me. But yeah, I sobbed like a baby at the end. This was really sad, but I loved it. Now for a book that made me happy, we're going with Dolly All the Time. Annabelle's books always make me happy. I just love her romances. They have the best vibes. The main female characters are always relatable. The male main characters don't do too much to piss me off, which is nice. There's always fantastic side characters. I just love her books, and this one was no different. And also, she made a main male character named Stuart kind of hot. Billionaire, single parent, fake dating romance, all of the tropes, but in a very believable way. And it was set in Rhode Island, which being from New England, I loved. This is my second favorite book of hers. I think this is her longest book, and I honestly could have used like 50 more pages. I will read anything she writes, and they always make me happy. I need to put my coffee somewhere to get books for the next question. Hold on. Okay, next question. The most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. We've got a few candidates. To Cage a Wild Bird. I haven't read this yet. It's dystopian romance, so I think I'm gonna love it. This is the inside. Gorgeous sprayed edges. The only reason why this doesn't get higher is because there's nothing here, and I feel like, I forget what it's called when there's something here, but that's always like an added bonus, but it is very gorgeous. Cover is also so pretty. I also just received a copy of This Immortal Heart, which I'm so excited about. This is it Aphrodite? Yeah, an Aphrodite retelling of sorts. I mean, you can literally see how pretty it is. And end papers, and what is it, like a front stencil or something? I don't remember what it's called. Gorgeous, obsessed. Also, cannot wait to read this. However, I think the most beautiful book that I received is the special edition of The Martian. It's literally just like a shiny book. Sprayed edges, obviously. We've got very cool end papers and a potato, which I don't know what it means, but I know it means something, and I'm kind of excited about it. But yeah, so I think this one is my favorite. I have not read The Martian. I read Project Hail Mary and I loved it. I also haven't watched The Martian, so I don't actually know what the story is about, which is kind of fun. I feel like it might be good to do a read the book, watch the movie video vlog. Let me know if that's of any interest. Okay, and the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? A lot, okay? As some of you might know, I made 26 books for 2026 lists. One that were all books that are already been published. They've just been on my TBR, most of them I own already. There were a couple that I didn't own. And then the second list was all new releases. That list is easy. There are still 15 of them that I need to read, but only 3 have actually been published already. And that is Tropesick by Lauren Oakey, her second book. This is a Grumpy Sunshine second chance romance of sorts. I've heard fantastic things. The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. I also really need to read. It's a magical realism book. Her books are sometimes hit or like slight miss for me, so I'm iffy about this one. But the one that I really need to read is Caller Unknown by Jillian McAllister. Love her books. I've put it off because it's had mixed reviews, but I need to remember that people expect true thrillers out of her, and her books are never true thrillers. They're like more contemporary fiction with a mystery element to it. They're not, well, are they psychological thrillers? I don't know. Regardless, this is about a woman whose child gets kidnapped. I'm gonna do the audiobook, I think, mostly for this, because I think just based off the fact that I'm assuming there are phone calls happening, that it'll be a good audiobook. Now, the more chaotic situation is the 26 books for 2026 that have just been on my TBR for a while, because I also haven't read 15 out of the 26 of them, and we're nearing halfway through the year. So I'm a little behind. I would like to finish 2 before the end of June. We'll see. Top priority on this list, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I've only read one Karen Slaughter book and I freaking loved it. I just feel like I'm gonna love all of her books, so I just need to go through her backlist. All the Colors of the Dark. This is another thriller, well, like historical fiction mystery thriller of sorts. Long book. I am determined to read that this summer though, because it's a end of summer thriller. Same time next summer, the only book of Annabelle Monaghan's I haven't read yet, The X-Files, which is Jessica Joyce's other book that I haven't read. I loved her, what's the book called? I forget, I'll put a picture of it here. But the number one book out of everything that I need to read this year before the year is over is Red Rising. I'm literally like, this is how I'm ending the video on Red Rising, and the fact that I haven't read it yet after, I don't know, 3 years of saying I was going to read it before the end of the year, and here we are, year 3. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to read it this year. I've even put it in my book series roulette, even though I have not started the series, because I know that I need a push. I will get to it. I will get to it, I swear. Okay, congratulations. You've made it to the end of the video. I would love to see any of you guys do this tag. So if you do, please let me know. Also, if you're new here, if you're not subscribed, I would obviously love for you to subscribe. My upload schedule is every other Sunday, although I do have a video coming next week with all of the July book releases that I'm looking forward to. And then the following week will be my June reading wrap up. So we will have 3 videos in a row. I eventually would like to get to a point where I post weekly and then maybe even twice a week. But that's definitely more of a 2027 thing. Anyways, as always, thank you so much for hanging. Please like this video, comment if you have anything fun to say or any constructive criticism. I'll take that too. And hope to see you next time. Bye!